in before somebody says that all the Don Knotts movies need to be on this list. But we already know that all the Disney Don Knotts movies are already weird, so what would be the point? What would be the point? Readers, with the release of Disney Plus upon us, a lot of news was released about a week ago. I pause on the word news because depending on what you were exposed to first, one actually could be considered news while the other could just be a 3-hour time waste. Now, regarding the trailer that was released showing everything that would be available to watch upon the launch of Disney Plus, I personally didn't watch it. Honestly, the only time I dedicate to watching 3+ hour long videos on YouTube is when I'm watching sessions of D&D. But as if Disney knew that people weren't gonna watch a 3-hour long trailer of all the stuff that'll be available upon the launch of Disney Plus, they decided to release a slew of posts consisting of the brand new thumbnails for every past movie and show that the streaming service will have available upon its release on its Twitter account. Some titles you know, some titles you love, some titles you know and love, and some titles that just make you go, what? And it's a few of those titles I want to talk about in this video because honestly, some of these live-action Disney movies that were made in the 60s and 70s were, at least for me. And don't worry, I'll definitely be talking about at least one TV show that made me react that way as well. I'll probably save it for last, but these movies, man, these goddamn movies. The Computer Wore Tennis Shoes, starring Kurt Russell? Apparently, this movie is about Kurt Russell's character becoming a human computer after getting an electric shock while replacing a part for his college's only computer during a thunderstorm. So, the plot really isn't what's weird here. After reading it aloud, it pretty much sounds like a 70s Kids Bop fusion of Limitless and What Women Want. What's weird about it, aside from the fact of finding out that Kurt Russell wasn't, always Kurt Russell, is that this is pretty much a spin-off film from the original movie that Disney remade Flubber from? Which means that the original version of Flubber did so well back in the day that they decided to try and spark an entire-ass cinematic universe off of the antics of the college before recasting the absent-minded professor as Robin Williams. And I mean, sure, Justin Morgan had a horse. E-I-E-I-O. I don't know what you expected from me. Apparently, this is based off of a children's book by Margaret Henry about a dude who takes 2 colts as a payment for a debt, and how the smaller one of those 2 grew up to be the first of his line in the American breed of Morgan horses. Okay. Alright, sure. I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend anyone who genuinely love horse movies, especially if they have some historical context like this one apparently does. But all of them are just... they're just too boring for me. Like, I visually remember trying to watch Black Beauty as a kid, and I literally walked out of my own living room to play with my action figures. So the fact that a movie like this existed in the 70s, that Disney made it, and that people actually watched it, just boggles my mind. The Strongest Man in the World, also starring Kurt Russell? In the same Flubberverse? I'm not even kidding. This is a second sequel to The Computer Wore Tennis Shoes. The first sequel to it was called Now You See Him, Now You Don't, and that bitch ain't even on Disney Plus. It's pretty much about Kurt Russell's character from the first two expanded Flubberverse films gaining super strength after eating some cereal that was doused in a formula created in a science experiment, and goes through hijinks over the course of preparing to compete in a weightlifting contest in order to win some money for Flubber University. I mean, the school is called Medfield College, but it's pretty much Flubber University. So you're telling me not only was Disney able to pull off a pseudo-successful spin-off franchise to The Absent-Minded Professor, but that Kurt Russell, aka Snake from the Escape films, Jack Burton from Big Trouble in Little China, Stuntman Mike from Death Proof, and Ego, the living fucking planet, was basically the 1970s version of Zac Efron. It's kind of like how after not watching The Goonies as a child and watching it for the first time as an adult, I found out that the big brother in that movie grew up to become Josh Brolin. Like, you know what I'm talking about? It's that kind of surprise. Now keep in mind, every video that I mentioned so far, with the exception of Justin Morgan Had a Horse, had a theatrical release. The Justin Morgan movie actually was straight to TV, I believe. And because of Disney's deal with them back in the 1950s to air Disney anthology shows in return for the television network investing money into Disneyland before they just straight up bought the network in 1993, it's pretty safe to assume that a lot of the straight to television Disney films from the 70s that are gonna be on Disney Plus that nobody under the age of 40 has either seen or remembers, more than likely originally aired on ABC. And that includes my two honorable mentions, 1962's Sammy the Way Out Seal and Fuzz Bucket. But it's like I said before, I'm not gonna let this video end without mentioning one very weird, very awkward, and one very unnecessary show that's going to be on Disney Plus. Inhumans. But I digress, readers. Your homework assignment for the day. Write in the comment section below any old Disney movies or TV shows that are going to be available when Disney Plus launches that you personally think are weird or awkward for whatever reasons. Regardless of what you choose, I love to know your thoughts. Patreon-a-thon is happening all month long here on Readus 101. So if you want to help financially support the channel, you can join my Patreon by clicking the card at the end of the video or in the link in the description down below, where you can also find a link to my merchandise store. Or if you'd rather give a one-time donation, you can find links to my PayPal and my Ko-fi account in the description box as well. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because I post new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and every other Friday. But until then, this is Readus 101. Class dismissed.